Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane. Well, that was nice and dandy, but featuring a 1 vs 1 on Semois, featuring Gopepsilive of the 2nd Infantry Division going out against Andyisrippin from the 17th SS Panzergrenadier Division Götz von Berlichingen. So there you go, a 1 vs 1 with a 3 pioneer start, while Pepsi's only going with a 2 engineer start. This is certainly a bit more. Of course, he doesn't know how many engineers Pepsi's going for, but even then, 3 pioneer starts are a bit more risky, a bit more, a bit more than usual what you'd see. Not something, again, that you see a lot of Emma players doing. It's certainly not against Americans, because again, it does have a tendency of leaving them a bit more exposed, and that's sort of the tricky thing. I mean, of course, on this, you're seeing a forward barrack start, but he's gone for the Wehrmacht quarters, so obviously there's not a forward barrack start. Otherwise, of course, if he wanted to go for the forward barrack start, he would be rushing towards this point and establishing one there, and then he'd go for a Volksgrenadiers. But again, note, he's not. Wehrmacht quarters up, starting out with a bike though, the light gleaming into the night, spreading away the forces of darkness and Americanism. Dun dun dun. Wire going off there. Pioneers, on the other hand, rushing onwards there. Some, like to wire off there. Personally, I'm not such a huge fan of it. Partly because I'm, in the end, figuring the time compared to having to put all of this down compared to basically just one engineer cutting it, is not quite the same. And usually then I'll just, lay down a mine there as early as possible. So that is, at least, is my opinion on it. Of course, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, and for some it might in fact work, but I'm just pointing out why I'm not doing it, in case some people were curious. Bit of wiring there to sort of make sure that the Americans do have a slightly tougher time right here into the old Semois town centre. Bit of bike firing there, and is he? No, no, that was not a 4th pioneer squad, otherwise I just, had to do a double take. Now we'll be seeing a Volksgrenadier squad out. It's the 1st Wehrmacht Infanterie, and the engineers hit a bit under siege by a bike. The new horror movie from Pepsi von Wolfgang or something like that. The bike, it comes in the night and strikes at your windows, the bike. Anyways, securing a point there with some pioneers on the other side, one side of the church arriving on the other hand, while the bike continues a 24-hour horror movie. 3 engineers trapped in a building, 1 voracious bike armed with an MG42 on the outside. Who will survive? The bike. Alright, I'll stop. Sometimes you just get carried away with these sort of silly ideas. Rather than pushing it, and the bike having abandoned its prey in the upper building, or, more separate farm building. But we are seeing Volksgrenadiers pushing in. We're seeing another rifleman squad moving in. And we're seeing a Jeep out for Pepsi. The Pepsi Jeep. Carrying cold, refreshing Pepsi bottles in it. Although I don't think actually Pepsi was at this stage. Rifleman, though, quickly dropped the bike. Charges in, opens up with his MG. Volksgrenadiers moving in. Pioneers moving in. Jeep pushing about. The Volksgrenadiers and some pioneers hiding inside the cafe, firing down upon anyone caught in front of the windows. Chaos, carnage, doom, gloom. And the pioneers repairing the bike are getting shot down themselves. Riflemen quickly rushing into another building to get a nice fine precision. Bike damaged. Jeep damaged. Riflemen pulling away. The other riflemen are getting fired upon. Volksgrenadiers moving in the houses. Another rifleman squad ready for Pepsi. My pardon's a bit there. So much to do. Being a bit stressed out. Anyways, we're seeing Rifleman coming a bit under fire. Nothing to do, of course, with the cast. It's more university related, so no worries. In fact, I find casting largely relaxing, as of course I have to go looking for replays. That's less relaxing, but there you go. Rifleman, though, coming under heavy fire here. Some Volksgrenadiers are dropping. And who will win this? Oh, the bike won this by a margin. The crew dispersed of in the river. Excellent if you're an assassin. Doesn't really matter much if you're on the battlefield and you're leaving behind a burning jeep. Besides, I don't really think bikes are the most stealthy of vehicles, you know, with that loud engine. I mean, I don't think they'll do, you know, Bike Hitman. That would probably not be a very stealthy game at all. But securing right here. Good, nice point. And of course, here we go. How many seconds did it take to cut that wire? 1. How many did it take to put it all up? Probably half a minute. And ultimately, you know, a bit of sandbags. Again, he's actually going to need to direct a larger force to dig out the engineers. So that is, again, oh, he seems to have forgotten all about it. That could be, but there we go. But again, you know, just to illustrate the point, quite nicely, in fact. Thank you for that, Pepsi. You're a wonderful chap. So again, you know, a few seconds, wire cut, and we're going straight for the fuel point. Engineers pushing in, Fultzguy's pushing in. I think Andyisrippin is getting a bit, you know, too incautious. And there we go, Fultzguy's engineers, pioneers down. These engineers are murderers. Or considering, I mean, what sort of forces being rushed in all desperation by Andyisrippin. Quickly, my men, you must stop the Amerikanen from taking our fuel. But my guts are hanging out. Schnell, raus! But there we go, sniper is out for Andyisrippin, sniping an engineer, and we're seeing flamethrower engineers making a bit of a charging in, a bit more of a hazardous prospect. More sniper fire, there we go, pulling back, but perhaps back not far enough, but just enough to sort of harass in case someone tries to take the fuel point. And this is definitely going to hurt Andyisrippin, who's going out for another MG42. And that's a pretty heavy tier 1 then. And we are already seeing Pepsi is going straight for the tier 2. This could actually turn out horribly for Andyisrippin, in particular with the lack of fuel point. And perhaps this is what Pepsi might even be thinking, you know, if he go for that, he can't rush straight for it, and even a pack might have a slight advantage against. So, in this sense, he might actually be working against, you know, a Sturm Armory rush, which again is seeing a slight resurgence here. Very nasty, and of course, rather clever by Pepsi. And again, though, not claiming Pepsi isn't clever, he's Pepsi for a reason. And not because he actually drinks Pepsi, surprisingly enough. Rather than charging in, and either way, nothing you do, just like spawning Pepsi, and you know, never mind. But we are seeing Rifle engineers pushing in, Fultzguy's trying to hold, and of course there's nice heavy cover for the Americans, though it doesn't help if they're getting mowed down by the dozens, and the Fultzguy's just moving in and shooting them in the face. Now who's winning, army? Who's winning? We are seeing a bit of harassment, lovely again by Pepsi. Bike moving in, the Jeep has not been salvaged yet. Forces here retreating with some nasty casualties inflicted by the German Wehrmacht. Ready to die? Just make it count. Sniper adds in with a bit of fire. Armored car deployed. And there we go, the first armored car. And note, what does Andyisrippin have in base? Now, Wehrmacht quarters. He is going to be very much unprepared for an armored car rush. Or even from that matter, a regular armored car move. I mean, slightly rushing here, but still, I mean, not vastly. So in that sense, I mean, Andyisrippin and the 17th are greatly unprepared. They're caught with their pants down. And Andy's skivvies are showing. And of course now the armored car can largely clear this out. There's not a lot of mines, in fact, so in that sense as well, the armored car has free reign. And there we go. MG gunners pulling away, 50 caliber rounds flying above their ears. For the menu on the cafe menu today, 50 caliber bullets delivered by Uncle Sam. Slightly pulling back though, Andyisrippin is not that much fopped, and perhaps, you know, Pepsi's wondering, perhaps he's actually gotten a pack, in which case, you know, sacre bleu, I don't want to get caught by one. And then he, of course, decides to move. So, but again, that's not what's happening. It's not happening. So far, I mean, at least he's not built it. We, of course, see what he is building, if he's building anything. Engineers here, they're pushed away, a bit too much machine gun fire and other sorts of fire, and he's actually going for the Sturm Armory. He's heavily lacking in fuel probably at this very moment, but he's still going for the Sturm Armory. Quite the dedication. I hope he's not going for an armoured car, because, I mean, that's not going to do anything against the Greyhound in particular, not since another one is joining. Pepsi's had 2 armoured cars on the field, and again, Andyisrippin is not really prepared. He's definitely not going to be ripping against any armoured cars. Fultzguy's coming in. They are going to get off a few Panzerfaust. MG gunner down. And there we go. First Panzerfaust moves unarmored. Second armored car damaged engine. And the bike is gone. I repeat, ladies and gentlemen, the bike is gone. The armored car rushing in. Wehrmacht is retreating. Second 50 caliber up. The Volkswagen is caught in the cemetery. Bullets raking through them. The bushes do nothing. And again, going for the fuel point up there. Oh, how horrendous. And the Sturm Army is not yet done. And he doesn't have the fuel for even a Stug. He does not have anything that can actually stop at the moment an armored car. And he's just expended all munitions on this. So he can't even call in stormtroopers and get a Panzerwreck. And he's just getting an armored car. No. This is just horrific. And there we go, another Panzerfaust. He's really setting himself up from actually getting a Panzerschreck. And more sandbags actually to help Pepsi hold the northern fuel. I mean, this is pretty much all pioneered down. A stranglehold delivered by Pepsi. And Andyisrippin pretty much just bared his neck and said, "Hey, Pepsi, do you want to choke me? I find that thing slightly erotic." Well, probably not, but I mean, he might as well have said it. I mean, he's holding on decently to the right-hand side of the map, but still, he's not really holding the vital point. But he's not giving up. You have to, you know, give him that. Andyisrippin is soldiering on like a good soldier of the Wehrmacht. Well, half good, because, you know, he still managed to get himself into this problem in the first place. So a good Austrian soldier then, I suppose. Or a good Ost soldier. MG trying here, of course. Greyhound opening up on the Wehrmacht troops there. The armored car can't do anything. Stoßtruppen arriving. Some more veteran troops from some other SS Panzer Division sent in to form the core of the 17th SS when it was formed. Sort of something to, you know, have all the newbies to sort of gather around and gain experience from. MG down. The Volkswagen's also getting hammered. But yes, I mean, when the Wehrmacht usually formed any new divisions, they would usually, you know, take a cadre of veterans from some other division and then use them to sort of form the divisional core. Oh, Volkswagen could also go down. That would be terrible. And I mean, it was just something that kept on even to the end, even with the Volkswagens, although that was usually because that they were usually the remains of some division. But I mean, for example, the 12th SS had, you know, a core of veterans from the 1st SS division, you know, veterans, officers, sergeants, corporals, all that, sort of form a core around, which usually then sort of help, you know, create a faster, more strong division, but also ensure there was some more experienced men to sort of pass out information and such.
We are ready to close with the enemy. Ready to kill.
And the Stoßtruppen are moving. The snipers walking in the ditches, hoping that is water he is finding down there. Anti-tank guns going up for Pepsi. I mean, considering the sort of advantage he has right now, I mean, I'm thinking, why shouldn't he just go for tank depots? Today when the killing blow, I mean, basically just go sort of, hey, Andy, look what I've got. Tanks. Though so far he actually seems a bit stuck in the motor pool phase. Although he does have a supplied upgrade. He's not really preparing for any sort of potential German counterattack. There's no mines going down. What are you up to, Pepsi? Are you actually giving Andyisrippin a chance to come back? Do you want him to come back? Oh, we actually got now munitions to get a Panzerschreck. Mine goes off. Engineers pinned. Riflemen suppressed. Volkswagen's moving in. Gunning down Yankees left and right. And the armor cars, I mean, no, Gopepsilive, he's not really going for it. He's not going for the jugular. I mean, despite the fact he must be sort of worried, you know, in every single moment a fleet of packs might appear in front of him, you know, surrounding him, just blowing apart his armored cars. I mean, he is being quite passive with his MG armored cars, I think. Though, of course, I mean, there's always good reason to be a bit worried. I mean, considering, you know, the possibilities, he does seem a bit, you know, too cautious. But there we go, the stormtroopers reveal themselves and blow up a wall. Must have been covered in American graffiti. And there we go, pack is ready. Oh, nice hit. What shall Pepsi do? The first pack has revealed itself. Moving up behind. Oh, cheeky. Spotting the Sturm Armory. Cheeky. Laying down a Greyhound mine. But no. What is that? He actually cancels it. Perhaps he was messing with Andyisrippin. Fascinating. And the anti-tank gun shoots between the headquarters and the Sturm Armory. That's quite the shot. Clearly Fritz here has not been drinking. Greyhound rolling in. Rather than held up here again by the stormtroopers. Quite excellent infantry. One of the toughest in the game. Probably has some of the most health, in fact. Plus, of course, they still do as much damage as some grenadiers, so 3 of them can still do quite a bit. And the Rive now, in fact, forced away. Armored car here getting fired at by the pack, needs to get away. Or is Pepsi preoccupied with other things? Wait, what? That was a bit weird. Oh well. Rather than pushing up against the MD-42 Stormtroopers, pulling slightly back, still getting off quite a few nice kills. Fullscrest joining in. Another kill. In fact, Pandrick completely killed someone. My goodness. Getting hit by explosive rockets is dangerous. Nobody ever told me that. Or did they? I never can remember. Stormtroopers are moving over there. Riflemen hiding there, biding their time. Watching the river, wondering how it would be here to fish. Would there be good fish? Would there be shrimp? Bubba Gump shrimp. MG slightly moving up. Armor cannot upgrade it. That would be nice though, but veterans run on the way for the infantry. Still no Stug. Still not a lot, in fact. Though we could be seeing a Stu 42. And Pepsi is perhaps a bit shocked. You know, he just lost a lot. And I find this really weird. Again, he's, you know, got a lot of, had both fuel points, even got an observation post. But I mean, he could easily have gone for a tank dev and probably, you know, just again scrubbed Andyisrippin away from the map. But he's going for more armored cars. How weird. You're weird, Pepsi. You know, again, I probably don't know all the details. Of course, I have to be a bit careful again sometimes. I suppose I can get a bit carried away with my criticism, just for the fun of it. But grenade there, bundle grenade, I think. Stormtroopers making a breakout. That was a bit clever, actually. Didn't quite work out, though. Didn't really kill anything, but I suppose they'll get out of there alive. Somewhat. Fresh wire being laid down. Helmut wondering why they have to keep putting it down when someone just runs over it or cuts it. Or uses it for telephone wire. Or in one case, dental floss.
Our forward supply lines are broken.
Pioneer getting hunted down by the Greyhound, leaping, pouncing, shooting. And of course the side. Oh, the Pioneer stopped to catch breath and got blasted to bits. Raven here getting blasted as well. Armored car. They're caught on the wrong side of the bridge railing. One last man makes a run for it. There's an anti-tank, and of course the presence of a sniper rather means it's dangerous business to be an anti-tank gun right there. Still, I mean, I would have loved to see some mines from Pepsi. Sadly, that has never really transpired. I mean, again, with the Greyhounds, and he must have actually got quite a bit of munitions right now. He would actually lay down a lot of mines to make it really, really difficult for Andyisrippin to advance. Now, we are seeing a Stu 42 out, the Sturmhaubitze. Full screen is laying down wire there. Another armored car. He's really enamored with those armored cars. Perhaps he's hoping for a sponsorship from the firm who made them back then. I don't know. The stormtroopers are advancing, and there we go. Falling upon the engineers. Shooting away. Getting quite a few nice kills right there. Could they get the last one? There we go, and he's dead. Stormtroopers now facing versus the armored car. And quickly suppressed by the 50 caliber. And another one joins in. The Wolf Pack, or the Greyhound Pack, more likely. Small force moving southwards, others hiding here. Let's return to Gopepsilive, who has 200 ammunition. He's got armor, even. I'm of course wondering if, perhaps you shouldn't have gone infantry to, clear out any sort of obstacles and lead the armored cars in, or, if he's at least going with that. Perhaps, use the armored cars to lay down some Greyhound mines, lure in the Germans and do some really unpleasant damage. Bunker going up for Andyisrippin. The anti-tank gun firing. Not quite hitting a lot. The Volkskrieger's moving up there. On the other side of the cemetery roll. Versus one rifleman squad. Oh, Stu 42 gets off a nice shot. Blows out a nice chunk of this house. Destroying Francois' hidden stash of rare pornography in the same moment. Francois would come home and be very disappointed after the war. Riven here getting suppressed, and Browning automatics pop just as Pepsi increases the assault. Engineers clearing out, Riflemen sneaking out here, but already one part of the assault is taking heavy losses. Snipers, Volksgrenadiers, Stu 42, MG, Pioneers in the house. No, not really. A bit of firing, 50 caliber, 37mm gun. Mines down there, lovely. I mean, lots of mines from, well, somewhat mines from Andyisrippin. That's great. Wish Pepsi would do more of those. Medics out, and looks like already someone is being dragged back. Greyhound doing what it can to keep the Pioneers away from the rest of the map, or at least what is American at the moment. More engineers out for Gopepsilive. Both supplied upgrades up. Rather getting engaged. Pulling a bit back. They don't want to face off against that armored car out in the open, which is a good move by Pepsi. Sadly, the anti-tank is not nearby because, again, he feels it's perhaps not too safe to move it there.
We're losing a point out there.
Which is certainly not a bad assumption. I mean, it could easily get overwhelmed or at least cleared out by a sniper. But we are seeing a Greyhound moving in, and that could actually be to Pepsi's advantage. A bit slow, but there we go. Volkskrieger's on the run. Armored car. Trying to get away. Medics moving in. And of course, in this sense, I think, infantry doctrine would be a bit better to, dig out the Germans. But of course, with armor, he can, of course, use his Greyhound to take territories. In that sense, I can see the point there. We could, of course, also consider getting another station to help with the infantry attrition.
We are losing a fuel point.
Engineers advancing. Greyhound up here, suffering a bit from the anti-tank gun. Looks like it will escape.
The Huns are taking our territory.
Greyhound, not Goliath, I was about to say Greyhound hiding. Yes, a very explosive Greyhound. No Goliath. Stormtroopers pushed away by the Riflemen and Greyhound, and another Volkskrieger squad up here. Nebelwerfer is out for Andyisrippin. Doesn't really do much this time around. Somehow doesn't actually do anything against the church, really. The power of God. Hallelujah. Oh, probably not, since this is a game. Armored car needs to get out of there. Come on, Pepsi. You do get a bit incautious, it seems. There we go. Armored car pulling back to deal with some American nuisance on the right flank. Oh, engineers met their fate. The one thing they could not disarm, a Goliath. Of course, a Goliath in the actual war was not a remotely controlled that way, It actually had a wire. Of course, that's a bit harder to do in companies too, so it didn't quite have as long as range. And usually, as soon as the wire was cut, it was pretty useless. And from that matter, in case the Pioneer who was moving it got shot. Armored car was not repaired! Pepsi, what are you doing? Seems to be getting a bit reckless with the armored cars. Frostgate going down. Veterans 1 for the riflemen. But Storms is arriving. Of course, now Veterans 2. Bundle grenade. Does a bit of damage. Bit of engagement up here. Rifleman's getting absolutely pummeled. Stu blowing out a bit of the church wall. And Greyhound hit by a mine. Oh, hits a mine, not hit by a mine. Pat turns, Stu turns. Rifleman in the church. They're not really in good condition. Get them out of there, Pepsi. Armored car gone. Another Greyhound out. It's not even been upgraded. And he's got tons of munitions. Again, I think you should at least try, if at least he's going to suicide his armored cars, at least, get them, out close to lay down from Greyhound mines.
Germans are seizing territory from us.
That at least is a much better way to get them. Oh my goodness, he didn't even get that fully upgraded, and the pack just will finish it off. Oh, a mine was actually laid down here by Pepsi. That's amazing. Less amazing though is the casualty rates currently being suffered amongst the Greyhounds. I mean, that would be 5 Greyhounds. Actually, pretty rare you get that many in a fight. And I applaud Pepsi for trying, but I think he might have been better off with Shermans. At least that would be my personal opinion. Veterans 3 already. Andyisrippin is quickly pouring a lot of troops into the men. An awful lot of resource, in fact. About 700 manpower. And, about 140 fuel, I think. Well, no, wait, 120 actually. Oh, 130, I think. Or is it actually 140? Oh, well, never mind. Still over 100 fuel. And it's actually happening in pretty short succession, so of course, that's rather limiting what the units can get. Now Pepsi's laying down mines. Now he is. I think that's, again, the case of too little, too late. Again, had he done so early, in particular with the Greyhounds, I think he could have done a lot more damage to Andyisrippin and done a lot more to contain him. Now, not so much. Which certainly is a bit of a shame. Speeding things up a bit. Sniper sniping. 17 kills. Bit of Nebelwerfing in the center. I think that was a direct hit on the church. Yes, indeed. Very much a direct hit. Only 2 kills for the Nebelwerfer. Though that is 1 more infantry kill than the Stu 42 has actually managed. And that's been on the field longer. I mean, Andyisrippin could, try to be a bit more aggressive, but perhaps he's, not feeling in the aggressive mood. Yeah. And also, interesting enough, Pepsi's not really tried, pushing harder from here, perhaps with 2 armored cars. He could actually do a nasty surprise against Andyisrippin, but again, not really happening. Going for the fuel point again. Quite intent on it, but suffering rather heavily to assault grenades. Riflemen do barely make it out of there alive. Away from the clutches of the 17th. Riflemen are moving in. Anti-tank gun wrecked. Never to be used by an American or German for that matter again.
Front lines are collapsing.
Volkswagen's getting pushed off. Again cutting through the wire down south. At least he's persistent. Mine down there. Riflemen in. Oh, surrounding the stormtroopers. Armored car rolling in though. Hits a mine though. Oh, that might actually have been a Greyhound mine. I mean, that almost took it out. That was great. Again, there's a reason to use Greyhound mines. But there we go. Armored car out of control. Rifleman stormtroopers battling it out.
Enemy unit down.
Rifleman not doing too well though. And another anti-tank gun out for Pepsi. He's got 3 out now, but he's not really getting much use out of them. Again, I think perhaps some armor would have helped. And perhaps some infantry doctrine. Again, that would also mean he would actually that way spend some of that munitions. I mean, he's rather chosen a way that sort of leads him to a larger extent inactive, or not really getting all of his resources into the fight for quite a period of time.
The Germans are after one of our munitions points.
Which is actually a bit unfortunate. Since he rather needs to be able to coordinate them all, you know, to really break through here or anywhere. Which is rather seems to be more the current issue rather than one of mobility, which is rather what armor doctrine rather more works towards, you know, being able to stay mobile, stay aggressive. Which is currently rather the other way that Peps is currently playing, not really helping it. In that case, again, he needs infantry to something, you know, focus for firepower. Oh well. Oh well. Armor car on the way. And I think that anti-tank actually pretty much blasted 2 Fosgers right away. He must have been using performance-enhancing drugs. How rude. How unsporting. Because, as we all know, war is a sport. More mines going off. Wounding and maiming Volksgrenadiers. Another armored car out. Now all of a sudden for Andyisrippin. Although he's close to getting a Tiger tank out.
We are losing territory.
And there we go, Volksgrenadiers pushed away. This time the anti-tank gun does not get off any nasty kills.
One of our sectors has been cut off.
More naval weather fire raining down upon the northern part. They're stopping the right front. They're pinning them to the ground as fire bursts out amongst them, turning the landscape around them into a scene from Dante's Inferno. Stu moves in and blows up, damaging his engine. And Helmut's complaining about his paint job. Always about the paint job, isn't it, Helmut? Never about the engine, never about the crew. Just the paint job. And there we go, though. While Andyisrippin might have rockets, and they might be bigger, Gopepsilive has more rockets. An armor car caught right in front of an anti-tank gun. 2 anti-tank guns, which both miss. That's a lot less impressive. And there we go. Gopepsilive is charging into the Andyisrippin's lines. Sticky bombs going off left and right. Anti-tank and advancing. Has to be a bit careful. Sniper could go down. And yes, indeed, Sniper is dead. Tot, nicht mehr. Passed on. Dead. The center is acting a bit open, but we are seeing naval weather fire being directed in. Volksgrenadiers moving out, and the anti-tank gun is actually exposed. And rifleman hit a mine, blown to bits. Anti-tank guns, horribly vulnerable. 1 anti-tank gun is gone. Rifleman trying to get the Stu 42. Anti-tank gun blows it up. Carnage, chaos, heavy losses, but Gopepsilive is suffering more heavily, although now he's getting quite a nice job against these Volksgrenadiers, and all of a sudden Grenadiers got reformed from the medic bunker. Some proper German infantry out to take the fight. And he's forgetting the BAR, and a Tiger advances. An excellent counterattack by Andyisrippin, charging through the cemetery, getting sticky bombed. Less great. Anti-tank gun firing from the other side of the river. Calliope's bombarding the cemetery. Probably knocking out more gravestones than actual Germans. Minor engagement up north. Stormtroopers was winning there. No surprise. Tiger with the damaged engine. All of a sudden a bit stuck in the middle of everything. Wishing it was a bit more accompanied.
Forward supply lines are broken.
And these engineers are getting absolutely obliterated. More need for fire. And he's actually trying to hit the anti-tank on the other side of the river, but actually misses pretty badly. The Calliope does take a bit of damage, but mostly just means they can cook tea inside, or coffee for that matter. I suppose Americans are more to coffee, so they can brew some coffee inside. Stable on the armored car. And veteran 2 for the armor. Quite nice, and of course he's barely got any population, so he might as well use the resources on that. And a bit of trouble dealing with this armor car. That's going to cut down a lot of rifling participants out in the open. And there we go, retreating. And the Calliope barrage, he's quite intent on getting it. Fulker's almost dead. But he does not get the armored car. 2 anti-tank guns, but very little infantry support. In case Grenadiers and Storms will attack, that could be a problem. Here we go, the Grenadiers are charging in, the MGs holding back the anti-tank guns. Who shall win this? The Grenadiers or the Riflemen? Grenade against the Riflemen. They're getting a grenade off against the Grenadiers. Suppressed though, in return. And the Grenadiers are pushed away. MG-42 advancing, and the anti-tank guns just can't hit them. So now since they're veterans, I don't think the veterans 2 has anything to do, but light cover certainly has. Small engagement here. The Stormtroopers forcing away the engineers. More harassment by Pepsi in the north. Riflemen trying to get it, and Nebelwerfers and MG fire clear out one of the anti-tank guns. The other one, probably going to get cleared out as well. And one Pioneer squad went down. But that seems to have been about it. 2 anti-tank guns are gone. That's going to be expensive for Pepsi to recruit. And that Nebelwerfer definitely has paid itself off. 4 kills for the Calliope. Not quite as much.
The enemy is seizing our territory.
Oh, nice hit from the Tiger. Turns several riflemen into pulp. And all of a sudden, some MP40s are being handed out to the Fulskers. No one has bothered with the BAR, wanting to fight with that allied crap, as the Grenadiers do say when they pick it up. I can't believe the Americans fight with this crap. Again, rather looking forward to the voice work of Company Heroes 2. That's going to be epic, I imagine. Fulskers are moving in. Oh, they are getting a bit torn up by the riflemen in the end. They might be able to win this, of course, now that the Stormtroopers there. They definitely are. And a grenade goes off. Ooh, don't quite kill anything there. Tiger moves in to support. And there we go. The Calliope unleashes fury. Showing the ground who's the boss. But not quite the Germans. And the Nebelwerfer returns the favour by blowing up some ground as well. Not going to be outdone by that large pea shooter, I suppose. Medics getting gunned down in their prime. Veterans free for the support unit. Will he be getting a sniper? Because that would really benefit from it. Rather than moving forward. And are getting cut down as they move forward, leaving a large trail of bodies in the middle of the road. We're in a wall. Damage engine again, but not quite finishing off the job. Going for the south again. Harassment. He needs to delay the drain of victory points from him. And right here, the riflemen getting stopped by the MG-42. Tiger holding up the center. Oh, they're getting a bit blasted. Riflemen trying to get perhaps a bit close. And the veterans see 3 Nebelwerfer fires. Oh, Goliath moving in. Goliath. Oh, mine goes off. Detonating the Goliath. Heavily damaging the Tiger. And Pat gets cleared out as well, but that was absolutely amazing. And oh, Pepsi's trying to get it, but the building, the cafe, covers it largely. Oh no.
We are losing ground.
Let's go look at Pepsi. And he's floating so much munitions. What could he have... Imagine what he could have done with infantry or airborne for that matter.
Tell us what you need us to do.
But the Americans are being boxed down.
Supply line.
4th Infantry not hanging much like against 17th SS. Heavy losses left and right. Men are dying, bleeding, screaming.
We're down to 50 points.
Crying? Another push. And he's actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's actually been training a lot of riflemen. Which is actually a bit weird considering again what Andyisrippin has. I mean, I'm surprised he's not bothered even once with the tank depot. I'm baffled.
We have territory out of supply.
Seems a bit peculiar. And the assault goes in from Andyisrippin. Stunning and wounding.
Our front lines are collapsing.
We could be losing those grenadiers. And
Enemy
there we
unit
go.
down. We're losing a point out there. Allies are
Clearing up the anti-tank gun. Victory points draining down. Ooh. Oh, rifleman score. Oh, wiped out. And yeah, there we go. GG, game over. A loss to the 4th Infantry Division. The 17th SS held their ground. I mean, Pepsi had an amazing start. I mean, Andyisrippin again really clutched up there, but then Pepsi again failed to really take advantage of the huge advantage he had. He failed to exploit no mines, which I really think was grievous, but also again, you know, no tank depot. Again, he sort of stuck around here, spammed rifle and armor cars, which ultimately allowed Andyisrippin to recover because even then he was too timid to really push the armored cars to the limit and again do damage. I mean, he could have rolled around here laying down tons of Greyhound mines. So ultimately, I think that is rather where Pepsi went wrong. I'm not sure what was going on, if he got overconfident and then sort of threw it all away or what, but that's basically it. Though again, I mean, Andyisrippin certainly again made those grave mistakes in the beginning. But there you go. I mean, nice harassment by Pepsi, but again, ultimately futile. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, why not subscribe, tell your friends, and if you didn't, well, why not send a replay of your own? This is Imperial Dane saying cheers.